I'm going to do that just for the heck of it. I've never used this before. Okay, we're at 4 after. Thank you everybody for joining us for the collaborative general meeting of July 17th, 2025. We have myself, Kelly Sheen, Executive Director for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District and co-facilitator for the collaborative in the room, along with, to my right,
Jim Spear, co-collaborator or co-facilitator, I'm sorry, for the Trinity Collaborative.
and I'll do a round of a roll call for everybody on Zoom, because that's pretty much it for the room.
Yeah.
Bob.
I'm present, though you wouldn't know it from the label on my little box there.
I think I'll try and get that changed here second. Yeah, Bob Morris. Okay, thank you. Tuli Potts, the Sierra Nevada Conservancy.
Morning, all. Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us, Tuli. Arnold Whitridge.
Here. Happy.
Good to see you, Bob, Arnold. Joseph and Susan Bauer.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
We're both here.
Thanks for joining us. Carol Fall.
Good morning, Carol Fall, North Lake area.
All right, thanks for joining us, Carol. Laura Broadhead, you want to go ahead and do an intro for yourself?
Hi, Laura Broadhead, acting field manager for the Reading BLM office.
Thank you for joining us, Laura. I see it reads Joe, but I think, is that Ren from Trinity River Lumber?
Yeah, hi Kelly, this is Ren with Trinity River Lumber.
Awesome, thanks for joining us, Ren. Is there anybody with you at all today? Or will there be?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for joining us, Ren. Okay, Jerry Cousins.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jerry. Larry Glass.
Howdy.
Hi, Larry, thanks for joining us. Dylan Kirkley with the Trinity County RCD.
Morning.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Dylan.
Thank you.
Let's see, Kenneth Baldwin.
Yep, I'm here from Indian Creek.
Thanks for joining us, Kenneth. Ben Sundahl, Sheriff's of Trinity National Forest.
Hey, good morning.
Morning, Ben. Are we expecting Tara or no?
No, she's at meetings down south.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ben.
Do you know if Sarah's going to be here?
I'm assuming no, since she has the green fire on her landscape.
Okay, thanks.
Are we expecting Sarah anymore? I was under the impression that Sarah was
No,
no longer joining these groups as the TRMU is taken over NRA.
Well, I still have a lot of questions about the North Trinity County Community Reduction Project, and that's a Sarah thing.
Okay. I will need to verify whether or not we're even sending out emails to them anymore.
We definitely said goodbye.
Yeah, there was a fairly significant and solid kind of, this is the last time you'll probably see me kind of.
I'm out of here.
So we'll have to follow up on that. Okay, Christine Jordan with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Good morning, everybody. I'm up here in Wairika.
Hi, Christine. Thanks for joining us today. And then I have Eric Bruce from the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
Everyone.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for joining us. And I think, did I miss anybody? I'm going back through, it looks like I got everybody. Okay.
there's a Skylar Fisher.
Oh, Skylar, I missed you. I got distracted for half a second. Skylar Fisher with the RCD.
Hello, Skylar Fisher with the RCD and Trinity County Fire Safe Council Coordinator. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Skylar. Sorry, I briefly missed you there. Then thank you for pointing that out, Carol. And we have two new arrivals in the room.
Terry and Diana Sheen.
Forrester, he is, and I'm interested party.
Photographer.
Okay.
Photographer extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire.
Okay. Unless I missed anybody, I think that's everybody, and I'll hand off to my right to
All right, thank you, Kelly. Good morning, everyone. Good to see everybody.
Welcome back.
Hope you're all having a good summer. We're gonna start off with agenda check. Anything we need to modify or change on the agenda that we've put out there for you? Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look it over. Not seeing any hands or any interest in making any changes, so we'll go with what we got. How about the minutes from our last meeting, the collective memory? I think we got both the summary and the full, you know, unadulterated 45-page verbatim. We got that out there as well. So oh, we got a thumbs up from Carol. You like it, Carol, or is that do you have a question? Yeah, she's nodding her head. Good. Very good. Thank you. Oh, there is a hand from Arnold.
So, I was present and I'm not listed as present, at least in the summary. I didn't look at the big one.
Okay.
Sorry for that oversight.
Is he on the big one?
I'm looking.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Yep, we missed that somehow.
Sorry
Okay,
about
thank
that,
you,
Arnold.
Arnold. Sorry about that.
What's this?
Okay.
I do have a question. So,
Sure.
when are, so I was looking at the collaborative website looking for the March minutes, and I just was wondering when do the minutes get posted to the website, and when do things like the latest fuel paper get posted to the website? I was looking for documents and it didn't seem like those are very up to date.
Yeah, probably not. I've been sort of sporadic with handing that task off to our webmaster, so I will make sure to get that done.
Thank you.
And we'll get all updated.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on the minutes
He's just not.
from our May 15th meeting? All right, not seeing any. Moving on. Public input. Any members of the public with us today? I don't believe so.
Just us.
Okay, we do have a few follow-up items here. First off, the updated guide for federal land management. So I know things have pretty much kind of gotten resolved and successfully, I think, to everyone's satisfaction, but I thought maybe someone could give us kind of an update on where things stand in case there are some of you who weren't tracking that and are unaware of the status of the white paper and Board of Supervisors meeting and all that. So Kelly, is that you or who else is gonna?
I'll just say that as of the date for the May meeting, we had not, we were encouraging people to attend that following Tuesday for its having been listed under that agenda. And we did get a really good turnout, both in person and online. And it was very well received by the board. There was some very congratulatory language that was shared out by the Board of Supervisors, pretty much each member, and they passed it unanimously. So I don't know if there's anything else that any of the actual collaborative members want to add to that.
Anyone else want to add to what Kelly's put out there, just to give everyone kind of a status report on that? Okay, again, I think everyone was very, very pleased with the outcome on that one, so appreciate everyone's efforts to make it happen. Up next, the Trinity Center Airport / KOA Campground post-logging operations cleanup. Again, a lot of conversation, discussion at our May meeting on that one. A fair amount has happened subsequent to that May meeting. So Tara is not with us today. I don't know if that means Ben is prepared to give us kind of an update on where we stand with that, Ben, or should we punt to someone else?
No, I think the vast majority of the cleanup has been completed. There is a few spots that, as we have cover resources for fire suppression at our stations, may tackle some of that workload. But I think talking with Tara over the last few weeks, I know she's been out there. I know our staff's been out there. I think the vast majority of the cleanup has been completed. It's just been a very busy month lately. So I think, unless you guys have seen or heard otherwise, the vast majority of the cleanup has been completed.
Yeah, Ben, at the rec committee meeting last Friday, Tara did, give us that similar kind of report, a little more detail, obviously, just given her knowledge of what was going on there. But yeah, she seemed pretty happy with the outcome. Other rec committee members, who were kind of tracking that similarly were pleased, with the follow-up and her engagement there and the outcome. Any other collaborative members wanna contribute to this? Oh, we got a hand, Carol.
Yeah, so yeah, Ben is correct. Most of the cleanup is complete. KOA hasn't recovered all of their campsites, but they have recovered enough. I mean, it was totally packed over 4th of July weekend. I was out there when the Shasta Trinity crew was digging a line around some of the big piles in case they caught fire, although they're really big. And we were out there 4th of July. There were kids doing bonfires, which is kind of what we were worried about. But yeah, none of them escaped into the woods. And so I think we're okay.
Very good. Thank you, Carol. Anyone else want to comment on that one? Very good. Not seeing any.
So I think you can take it off the future agendas.
Correct. Yep. I think we're going to remove both of those. And maybe even this third one, Carol. I think this is a Tara issue, and I think from the minutes of our May meeting, that's kind of where this was directed, that she had promised to follow up and at least kind of come back with a report at this meeting on what items in that management review could be shared, publicly and what have you. Given her absence, Ben, I don't know that, I know you've been, engaged in this one as well in the past, but any update from Tara that you received?
So I sent Kelly the scrubbed version a while ago that the forest was comfortable sending out publicly. A few of the items were basically internal working processes, and with the change in administration, the change in our workforce, change in direction, some of that stuff has kind of fallen off to the side. So I think what we have shared with the collaborative group is sufficient for right now. I would say we could probably knock this off the list, and as a force dive back into that general management review document, any other updates we'll provide to you guys as they come out. But right now, just with how fluid the workforce is and just the overall government, we haven't really knocked a lot of things off our list. honestly. But a lot of it was just a lot of internal, just how we operate, and that has changed over the last few months. So I think, you know, based on the overall outcome of the general management review, everything's going well internally and with our partners. So I think we're in a good spot. And if we do have additional updates, Tara or I will just share that in our report out further into the agenda. And I think we can take this one off the list, if you guys agree.
Very good. Thank you, Ben. Any follow-up on that one from anyone? Okay. That concludes kind of our follow-up items from the May meeting. Up next, we've got the June 27th field tour report. Kelly, is that?
I think what I'll do for that is I'll defer unless, well, maybe we'll get the impressions of the collaborative members that were on that. But maybe just to describe the project a little bit, to start with, let's have Dylan and Eric talk a little bit about that, as they were leads on that project field tour.
Okay, who wants to go out, Dylan or?
I'll go for it.
Okay.
Morning, everyone. So for those that weren't on the tour, we had 3 stops. We went to Musser Hill to an old fuel break there and looked at the changes over, I believe it's been 15 years, and what could have been done instead. Then we went up to Roundy Road, kind of the top of that, and had a meet there. And then we went up to we ended at the Rush Creek Campground, where we just had a little discussion about what needs to be done there and working within the confines of, you know, a Class 1 stream. And yeah, so that's kind of what we did on the tour. Got the green light from everyone. You know, all parties thought that what we presented was, you know, within the best interest of the community. So we're moving forward with the blessing of all parties involved.
Very good. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add to that, Eric?
Not really. Maybe just what we're looking to do is expand on some of the past project areas, get them a little more feathered out, a little more like shaded field breaks. Looking to try to open up a shaded field break that wraps around from Weaver Bali out to Rush Creek Campground if possible. And just thinning out some of those areas and making them a little more fire resilient if anything were to come in.
I think one of the primary to kind of add to what Eric's reporting out, sort of the primary purpose of the Weaverville Fuel Breaks project, from our perspective, is obviously community protection. And one of the things that we've identified as a strong need in this project is a fuel break. We've had quite a number of fires in and around the basin that have both kind of come in or through towards town, you know, as it relates to the wilderness boundary. And so a fair bit of what we have been looking at has to do with a potential fuel break that sort of would, you know, if we've got, you know, essentially like an uncontained fire that's moving through up and over Bali or down in towards Weaverville, that we would have a fuel break that would basically help to manage that fire as it approached the actual community. So so that we had a fair bit of discussion about the need for that, as well as some specific areas like the campground, which are pretty overgrown, that, you know, definitely need work. And as we know, you know, we frequently see fires, you know, starting from human interactions with the wilderness areas, or the wildlands, I guess you could say. So so that's been kind of the focus of this project. Is there anything that anybody else would want, that was on the tour, would like to speak to on that tour? Yeah, Arnold.
I thought the the first stop at the old fuel break, I forget when the fuel break was made, but it was remarkable what a nice shaded fuel break it was overall. It was a patchy mosaic, different conditions, different places, but overall the trees were nicely spaced and very little brush, at least where we were standing. So a success and an indication that our ideas for shaded fuel breaks could be very useful, at least in conditions like that, which
Yeah, the
would
discussion
require more discussion, but pretty nice, and it's kind of what we have in mind for the shaded fuel break system.
Yeah, and so part of what we talked about with Cody and Nate with the Forest Service, especially with regard to that particular location, and Tim Ritchie for that matter, had to do with expanding that fuel break, because as it sits right now, it's a linear fuel break about 300 feet wide that kind of follows up Musser Hill Road itself. And what we were thinking about was actually sort of expanding that fuel break and then feathering out and kind of capturing some areas. There's green timber, sale component to that particular part of because there's actually like merchantable timber within that area. And sort of just expanding what's been done and what's looks to be like a fairly successful prescription in that particular area. So these are things that we've kind of talked about on some of the other field tours, but Tara was particularly keen on the idea of like, okay, well, if this is working here, let's go ahead and expand that out and then feather it, a little bit where we need to, and pick up, what we can within those areas and try to replicate that. So, yeah, Jerry, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do. So it was a nice, I agree with Arnold's assessment, and on each side of that treated area there was no treatment, and the comparison was dramatic on the difference of the forest and the ground cover. The second stop was up pretty high on Roundy Road, and we stopped at a place that had a pretty steep side hill of lots of competing Doug fir, kind of small, maybe 12, 15 inches, some of them, just stretching for light and competing for nutrients, I imagine. And there was some discussion about how to thin that, and then more discussion about just taking the whole hillside out. So I wanted to know if there'd been any more, all the trees off that hillside, because it was too low for Doug fir to really thrive. It should be more pine and oak growth. So can anyone speak to that discussion? Maybe Bruce or Dylan?
Yes, so I think Ren had a really good idea there, is that we could come in and actually do a pine plantation in that area. Just kind of reestablish, a previous, the previous landscape there. We're still looking into, the best cases for that area, but I think that's something that we'll lean towards, and, of course, we'll have further input from the collaborative and the Forest Service. But that could be an area that we do end up actually replanting, and especially up top there, where it definitely thickens up past that previous treatment where they'd taken it down to like 30%. Yeah, I think those, especially those areas that are kind of tight and steep, that could be a prime for replanting. So it's an option.
The area that we're speaking of is above a previous treatment area that was part of the Browns Phase 3 timber operation. And we had some pretty solid discussions about, the varying types of prescriptions that we've seen implemented both within the community forest, but also kind of more generally on more recent forest projects. And so Tara also delved sort of deeply into a number of things while we were there and while we had her. A number of, fairly significant topics, about, and this is sort of beyond the field tour, but she just sort of took the opportunity to share with that group more about what she felt was kind of the current direction from Washington, and and how she, in her mind, we've already sort of begun a lot of the process of kind of upping our timber production and things of this nature. So we're already kind of working in that direction. So a lot of what she was sharing out was like, it's going to be largely kind of business as usual for what we've already been doing the right things for the right reasons in the right places. And, a lot of that, a lot of what we've more recently heard from her is kind of going to continue. So
Just to add on to that, I'm glad you brought that up, Kelly. Tara said that currently Shasta Trinity, this side, is harvesting 2 million board foot a year, and she wants to move that up to 25 million board feet per year, which is what she was already working towards. She said it's not that she's going to take more timber out. They're just going to move the pace of the bigger projects like the big ranch and the big Hayfork fuel break. I think that was, I don't remember how many, was that 52,000 acres around Hayfork? Does anybody have a memory of that?
I don't recall the number.
Yeah.
It'll be comparable to Big Ranch.
Oh,
30,
okay.
35,000
about that.
acres.
Yeah, okay. So she was assuring us that they're not going out and just taking way more new stuff. They're just really escalating the pace of what's on the list.
Yes. Christine, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. And I do apologize to Dylan Kirkley as well as the rest of the collaborative for not being able to participate in the field trip on June 27th for the Weaverville Fuel Breaks project. I just wanted to ask Dylan if he could send me any information that was shared during the field trip with maps and proposals. I'm not exactly sure how the consultation would be handled for this additional work because there is owl designated critical habitat in the majority of the proposed treatment areas. And we are currently working with both the Shasta Trinity and Klamath National Forests to get a fuel break programmatic kind of over the consultation line, but we don't expect that will happen until the end of this calendar year. So just a gentle reminder that there is an ESA consultation need for that proposed action.
Yes, I have your email and I've been meaning to reach out to you. We have some preliminary mapping, but we are refining them currently, and we'll be. I was just going to wait until we had more of a defined project area. We're waiting on shape files from the Forest Service for their phase 1 and phase 2 before we can really finalize. We're selecting priority areas. So we do have a preliminary map, and we have some preliminary prescriptions information that I could send you. But if you'd rather I wait until the things are a little more finalized, I can do that. I can either you'd prefer.
It would be really helpful to see the preliminary data, but then we would obviously just stay in contact as things get finalized. So thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, and I did want to reach out to you regarding working around the Rush Creek campground as well, and what we can achieve there.
Yeah.
So I'll be reaching out to you via email.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just to say, the Rush Creek campground was really a mess. Needs some work.
All right, good discussion. Any other comments or input on this one? Not seeing any. Thank you all for good discussion. Okay, on to wildfire camera update. Jerry, anything new happening there?
Yeah, there's a new active camera on Tom Head. These two sites are down by Platina. So Tom Head is active now, and next week on Knob Peak, the final camera will be installed and go live. On the field trip, I talked with Ben, and he told me that all the work for approving the Ironside Mountain camera was done, and it's all sitting with Travis now. And I talked with Travis of Velocity. He's just finishing up the application or the form for the special use permit. So I'm hoping that'll go out next week. And then he'll contact Kevin Anderson at Alert California to get the camera and get it going. So I'm not sure when, but it's moving forward.
Cool, very good.
So I think overall, in all this time, we've gone from 2 cameras to, as of next week, 9 cameras in the county, and 3 more potential Ironside, and then we're waiting for the CEQA for up north on, well, we're waiting for a tower on Frethy Ridge, and then the CEQA up at Bonanza King. So there's then 3 more potentials.
Very good. Yeah, that's happened over a relatively short period of time, huh, Jerry?
Doesn't seem like it, Jim, but I'll take your word for it.
I was trying to be positive there, Jerry. Yeah. In the scope of history on that issue, I think we've made some tremendous progress. Let's put it that way. Yeah, thank you for your leadership on that, Jerry.
You're welcome.
Anything else on cameras? All right. Up next, Minersville boat ramp. I think we got a little update from Tara, as I recall. Carol, anything noteworthy that you recall we would like to share with the group at large, or are we kind of treading water there?
Ben may have an update. At the Recreation Committee, if I remember right, so the 60% design was submitted. It's being reviewed by DBOW.
Right.
They had some questions. Sarah sent a staff member to Sacramento with some of the information. So that is currently, I think, in DBOW's court to move it past the 60%. Does that match what info you have, Ben?
Yep, that matches, and we should be hearing back from DBOW. Should be any day now because they had until the mid July time period for that 30-day review period. So we should be hearing back from DBOW any day or within the next week or so, would be my guess.
And then once you have the 60% design, then you guys can start working on the NEPA stuff. Is that right?
I believe so. We have we've identified one individual to be kind of like the lead point of contact / program manager for this project now. So that person is really going to move this one along and kind of keep everybody's fingers out of it, just so it's focused and on track.
And what was the name of that individual, Ben?
It's going to be Marcus Nova. He used to be on the Trinity landscape team.
Okay, very good. Anything else on Minersville? Okay, moving along. Laura, I believe you're up. BLM update.
Hi, everyone. Okay, I have kind of 2 updates. The first is the Reading fire salvage. There was a small 40-acre fire a month ago. Time is a construct. And we, some folks maybe saw in the collaborative email a kind of request for us to look at that in terms of salvage. And we were on it as soon as the fire was out. And we had our foresters go take a look. Again, it's very small. The whole fire was 40 acres. Of that, 17 acres are a pretty good timber stand and like a bowl. and there's definitely salvage potential. And all of this was in a previous fuels unit, so we already have all of the surveys done from a few years ago. So we are proceeding with, oh, this is big BLM news. Sorry, guys. We're switching from saying CX to CE, just like everyone else. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, but the BLM always called them CXs. Now we have new NEPA guidance and we call them CEs. So we are doing a CE. And yeah, where our team, I think, has a due date of the 22nd, which is next week. And yes, some other details. It's there's quite a few dead trees, some that were maybe dead before and some that are dead from the fire, but there's also green trees mixed in. So the plan is just to remove the dead, anything that will die within the year, using the Forest Service kind of standards that were written for Region 5 on how to determine if a tree is likely to live or die. So there'll be green canopy left. There's a road right to it, so it will just be a skid to the road. Trinity River Lumber, I've heard, is interested. We'll probably do a negotiated sale. It's small board feet. I forget the exact number. And we have been working with the private landowner there who kind of owns the kind of access into the parcel. So we've been working with him on an access agreement. And I can't remember his name, but he's been great to work with. So those are kind of the details. We are not planning to do a public comment period. I'm happy to have discussion about the project right now if folks want any more info or anything like that. Yeah, so I'll just kind of leave that open for a few seconds.
No, it was Reading Creek.
Reading Creek, right?
This it sounded like you said Reading.
It's pronounced Reading. Says
it?
Eric Ritter, our archaeologist of 50 years.
I always said Reading.
Yeah. Same as like Reading Island down here is spelled the same way. Reading Bar, where they discovered gold on Clear Creek. It's all pronounced Reading. Oh. And Eric Ritter would get on my case anytime I said it wrong. So in his honor, after he retired, I have carried the torch.
Do you have any comments on that, Kenneth?
Yes, we've always called it Reading Creek. I've been here since '72, and it's been Reading Creek. But it's like, read and read. I mean, yeah, they're spelled the same and they're pronounced differently. But we've always called it Reading Creek.
Yeah.
Okay. There you have
Reading Creek it is.
Local confirmation. Awesome.
Anything else, Laura?
Okay, that was the first one. The second update is the Jennings project from the field trip 2 times ago. Hopefully, our plan is to have public comment period. Will be open probably for 30 days, and I'm hoping that will happen before our next one of these meetings. So I just thought I would let you know that in the next 2 months, maybe expect a notice in your email about the public comment period being open for that. Some of it comes down to consultation with the services and things like that, but we're hopeful on that timeline.
Do you mind if I ask a question about that, Laura?
Mm-hmm.
So that was for our April, we went out to have a look at that at the April field tour. And at that time, Jess was, I think, being cautiously optimistic that, and it was suggested that that this next field tour in August might be to have a look at the mark on that project. Are we that far along yet?
I don't know the answer. My tentative answer is, I think yes. Again, some of this comes down to working with Fish and Wildlife Service and making sure we have everything dialed in. But tentatively, yes, but let me check in with Jess.
Okay, because we had tentatively put that in as the August field tour would be a revisit to Jennings because it sounded like things were moving relatively quickly. So
okay,
if we could get some level of confirmation before we finalize that, that would be great.
Okay, cool.
Christine, you have your hand up.
I do. Thank you, Kelly. And good morning, Laura. It's
Hi, Christine.
Great to see you. So I just wanted to add a little bit there. Derek Harvey, he's one of the Section 7 wildlife biologists in our field office, has been working pretty closely with Tobias and the forester, maybe that is Jess, on prescriptions and proposed treatments and potential modifications. So they are working on that. We're not, trying to hold anything up, but just wanted to provide that information.
Yeah. To be clear, we're actively engaged with Fish and Wildlife Service. It just, we gotta cross our T's, whatever that phrase is, before we put it out to public comment. So that's what we're working on.
Okay. Anything else for us, Laura?
I don't think we got anything else. I'll mention it to this group too. The Trinity River cleanup put on by the RCD and the BLM and the Forest Service is this Saturday. They'll be kind of on the Douglas City stretches. So if you have any questions or want to attend, that would be great.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Any further questions or follow-up for Laura?
I would like to just thank Laura for getting a salvage sale out in a timely manner in Redding Creek. That is great.
Yeah, I will say, a lot of things lined up to make it easy. But yeah, we had surveys already done. It was small, green trees left, all that stuff. But yeah, we're excited to do it. And I know the landowners, the below especially, is excited to see some of those dead trees disappear from the hillside.
Yeah, that was fantastic. You guys were very responsive. And I think, Tom Waltz having brought that forward to the group, I think that was timely. And, his point was that as it related to, the guide which had just been adopted by the Board of Supervisors, it just seemed like a good chance, like everything did sort of align that way. So thanks to the BLM for being responsive to that suggestion.
Yeah, maybe a template for future.
Again, I just want to emphasize things lined up to make it very easy. So we want to capitalize on the easy things, but I don't want
low-hanging fruit, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, very good. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Forest Service updates. I don't believe we have any Six Rivers representation, correct?
That doesn't look that way.
Okay. So Ben, you are officially.
I talked to Kristen Lark extensively about the South Fork project.
Okay, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, and that one's moving along. They expect to have something for us to look at in the next couple of months. But there's extensive flagging up there all along the ridgetop because I've been watching that as it goes down. So the project is definitely taking shape.
Very good, Larry. Thank you.
And I would propose that we should try and get a field trip to see that.
August, is that too early or?
Well, you'd have to clear that with Kristen Lark, but I would propose that.
Otherwise, you're looking at October, right?
Yeah, otherwise.
Yeah, and that would be too late for up there.
Okay. Well, I'll work with Laura about just kind of how either of those might work, and I'll get with Kristen and see if she might be able to be ready by that time, because that's only a month away. So I'll do some coordination and we'll get that figured out. that sound good, Laura?
Yeah, and we could do more of like a self-led field tour where it's like we can mark it and put it on a map and folks can go up there and look at it. If it doesn't work out to do like a whole group, if there's some other priority.
Okay. Jennings Ridge is definitely lower than South Fork Mountain as far as like accessibility later in the year.
Yep.
So
Sure.
that shouldn't be too much trouble.
Okay.
But yeah, if we'll get some level of confirmation about the access to either of those and availability for that to happen either in August or October, and we'll get that worked out.
Okay.
Okay, thanks again, Larry, for that update on South Fork. So yeah, now we're back to Shasta T. So Ben, you want to give us an update?
Sure. I'll give you guys a quick update. So the team working on Big Ranch planning, it's going well. Surveys are in full swing. So that team is hard at work and adhering to the timelines that we have set in place. So knock on wood, no major issues or hiccups with that. Working really well between Fish and Wildlife and the Six Rivers National Forest. So excited to see that thing moving full steam ahead. Spoke with the ID team that is planning the North Trinity County project. Even with the green fire on the Shasta Lake District landscape and some of that team supporting that incident, the remaining team members still are moving forward, and it seems like they still are on schedule with the identified timelines for that project as well. So that was good to hear. Talking with the team members for the North Trinity County project. As all of you know, it's been a busy month for fire activity on the forest. Not only from the Yola-Boldes, it stretched far and wide all the way up to Mount Shasta McLeod. So it's been a busy month. Our staff have been stretched thin. I'm happy to say that all the fires on the west side of the forest have been called out, minus the Horse, which kind of borders the Weaverville and Shasta Lake Ranger districts. And then the Helena fire just outside Junction City. Those fires have a few resources still on them, patrolling those incidents and making sure all the hot spots and smokes are extinguished. So those are the only two that are still somewhat active, as in resources still committed to those incidents. A good number of our staff are committed to incidents in Northern California to support those wildland fires. But everything else is moving forward. No concerns. We still have plenty of support back, doing normal day job activities. For implementation in 2026, implementation will include the work in Big Ranch, High and Palm FMZ, and North Trinity County next year. So heavy implementation workload for 2026, on top of also looking at the Hayfork project and getting that planning team started, and then other potential target areas to where we can get some timber volume out of. So it's gonna be a busy couple years, bouncing back and forth between planning and implementation. So, but we have a strong workforce on the west side. They're up for the task and the challenge, and we'll see how it all pans out. Corral Gulch Watershed Restoration Project was signed just a few days ago, or maybe a week ago. Work will begin on that project this summer. As you guys all know, that Barman was signed, and work has already started out there in Barman. Westside Plantation, which is just outside High and Palm. We have a timber sale coming out of that, the Lemonade Timber Sale. It's been cruised and it should be offered this fiscal year, FY25. So keep your eyes out for that. And then just to wrap things up is, even though we're in fire season, our ID teams are in full planning or implementation mode. Our fuel shop are revising or creating additional burn plans for this upcoming burn season, which would be fall, winter, spring. So we can get some prescribed fire acres accomplished on our landscape, just to back up all the mechanical work that's been accomplished over the last couple of years. So everybody is hard at work, doing some good work, and just really appreciate all the support from our partners in the collaborative group as we move forward together on all these projects.
All right, thanks, Ben. We do have a couple of questions for you, so we'll go with Carol first.
Okay, yeah, thanks. So, back in March, we asked for the scoping consideration for the North Trinity Lake project. So you guys got your scoping comments and then you were compiling them, and we were told that there would be a document available that kind of initially looked at those comments before you were proceeding with all the project. What happened to that document, and can we get it?
Yep. Let me circle back with Callan, the NEPA lead for the team, and I'll circle back with you.
Okay, because I have a bunch of questions on that.
Okay. Yeah, Shasta Lake District is still overseeing the planning phase of this project, and once that's done, the implementation phase will be tackled by us.
Right. So my questions are things like, you had comments from several groups saying, like, including the Trinity Center CSD, saying to prioritize the fuel management zones and not do the forest resilience areas. Not to expand the scope of the project, but it was originally scoped at 12,500 acres, and now, according to Bob Doucette, it's up to 14,000. So instead of getting smaller, the project has gotten larger, and I'm trying to figure out, like, so what, why? Anyway, do you guys know if you ever applied or you're going to apply for the emergency action determination?
Yeah, I will need to circle back with Carol, and get back to you with those answers.
Okay, just so you know, I mean, we asked for this in both both in March and May. And so the response I got from Bob Doucette, the email was basically, oh, we're doing all the prescriptions and the field work and stuff. But if you're doing all the prescriptions and the field work without getting any input from the collaborative on all the comments that were sent in and stuff, it just seems like you're not coordinating with the collaborative if we can't get that kind of information back from you guys when we've asked for it. Okay, so anyway, just so if you could pass that on to Sarah and her team, that we're trying to figure out, the prescription, we've asked for the prescription for the fire resilience areas where they were supposed to be feathering. Well, what does feathering mean? All that stuff. It's just cranking along with, not any input from the collaborative, I guess.
Okay. Yep. I'll circle back with that team and reach back out to you.
And then Bowerman, I had asked Tara about the schedule for implementation. I've been out there on the ridge. I know that you guys have the contractors doing, or SPI has the contractors doing the fuel reduction, which looks great. That might be a future field trip. But haven't been able to get a schedule from Nate or Cody on the work that's supposed to be done, the timber sales along Highway 3 or the work around Covington Mill and stuff. So just trying to figure out, Tara said the limited operating period wasn't limiting anything. So we're trying to figure out, like, when are you gonna try to do the timber sales and stuff like that? When are you gonna do the fuel reduction around homes? Looking for that schedule.
Okay.
Is that it, Carol?
Yeah, for now.
Okay. All right, Larry.
Yeah, well, comment on the North Trinity Lake project. I mean, I don't think Ben or the rest of the Forest Service is intending this, but this really is beginning to feel like a hide the ball kind of process here. I mean, I know that you're transitioning management from one group to another, but still, I mean, this is some of the worst stonewalling I've seen since the collaborative started. And we need to fix this because otherwise, I think there's going to be a lot of, I know I'm going to be upset if we suddenly see this finished project roll out and we didn't have any input in it at all. I raised my hand though to ask a question about the what you're calling the Lemonade timber sale. I thought this was part of the West Side Plantations project and it was more plantations being treated. Am I getting confused here?
Nope, it's in West Side Plantations. They're just naming the timber sale Lemonade.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I've seen the maps of it and Cody sent me the maps, so.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Jerry.
Thanks. A couple of questions. Ben, you referenced the time frame for the big ranch project. Could you just review those real quick for me?
Oh man, you're asking me to dig through my emails. I'll find the timelines here and I'll jump in at some point
Great.
in this meeting with those.
Okay.
Let me search for them.
Yeah. And then
They're not on the top of my head. Sorry to say.
Okay. On Bob Doucette's letter, he said that on the North Trinity project, going through 65 special use permits. Is that just because it's the lake and there's a gazillion use permits? Or is that a pretty common number for when doing a project?
No, there's probably a higher special use permit around the lake. And since we're going through and doing the NEPA, even to reauthorize or issue new permits, we got to do some sort of NEPA. So we've just included all that stuff into the North Trinity County project. So 65 may seem high, but I think we want to get those taken care of. So when folks want to have a permit reauthorized, all the NEPA's in place and we don't have to backtrack and wait months to find a specialist to just go out there and take a site visit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
65 seems high, but I think due to the lake and just the population up there, it's probably a good number.
Okay. Pilot project I know didn't sell, and I heard it was being somehow repackaged and going to move forward. Can you kind of tell us about that and what the new package looks like? Or...
Not sure what the new package looks like, but I did speak with Cody on Tuesday, and he said it was repackaged and should be going out here shortly if it's not already out.
Going out for bid?
Shortly.
Is there any way to get a look at the package?
Yeah, I can ask Cody to see what they did to repackage that.
Great.
So Jerry, for the Burnt Ranch project, what piece of the timeline are you curious about?
Scoping is coming out soon.
Yes, yep. Scoping's coming out soon.
And then depending on things, when you said 26 is when the work will begin?
Yep, summer of 26.
Summer of 26. Okay. Well,
yeah, we hope to get signed May-ish of 26.
May, okay. That helps. Thanks, Ben.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, anything else for Ben? Not seeing any. Thank you very much, Ben, for good report and update. Shasta Trinity happenings. So we have had a new attendee and very timely, since we kind of passed over her report. But at this point, we will ask yeah, Kristen to introduce herself, and then, yeah, Kristen, just roll right into your update for us.
Yeah, boy, my ears must have been burning, huh? Made it just, I had another meeting that conflicted with this, and I was trying to get my calendar, and I went, oh my gosh, I totally missed this right timing for this. So anyway, hopefully I will redeem myself. And sorry that I missed all the other good information reports out before me. So yeah, so really just a couple of things. You know, the big project that between the two forests is the South Fork Mountain Project. We are moving forward pretty good on that. Raquel Thatcher is my subculturist, and she is gone this week and next week to go to NASP. So she's part of the National Advanced Silviculture Program. And so I had an opportunity to go out in the woods with her last week, and Leah Fisher, my other forester, and look at some of the units and some of her prescriptions and all that stuff. So she is doing a really great job with that. The majority of the commercial timber harvest is on the Shasta Trinity for this project. Less on the Six Rivers side. And we are in that high elevation, white and red fir. And so Raquel has prescribed some sanitation treatments in there. You know, there's a heavy mistletoe infection. And so we're looking at some of the plantations in particular. There's just a few of doing a really heavy reset in those and culturing some of the bear grass that's up in that area. The sanitation units are outside of the LSR, the Late Seral Reserve, so that adds some efficiency to the process for us. And then some of her other treatments are in the LS excuse me, in the LSR as well. So the Watershed Center has been doing the riparian flagging and the unit flagging, the two trails, getting ready to prepare a cruise design and moving through the implementation part of it. The meeting that I just bumped out of, and we're going to reconvene this afternoon, is with the planners. So Kevin Sagade from the Shasta Trinity is the planner on the project, and then we've had a little bit of staff change. Deanna Seal, who's one of the Six Rivers planners, has been assigned to the project because Corey Davis has started his new position this week as the Six Rivers forest wildlife biologist. So he has moved into that position. So some staff changes there. So what we're going to be looking at is, and I don't know if you guys talked about it before, but as you know, there's been a big change to the NEPA regs for the Forest Service and the USDA. And so we're leaving the 36 CFR 220 regs and moving into the new regs, which is this, I have to look at it, 7 CFR 1B. And so while we're in this transition period, we have the option to either continue with the old regs or move into the new guidance. And so we're going to be discussing what makes the most sense for this particular project, because we have that discretion to make that decision there. I'm leaning towards the new regs just because it does simplify the environmental assessment, the actual document itself, but is still the same robust specialist analysis needs to occur, which is really where the heart of the work should be in my mind. So once we get that settled, I'm hoping to be able to move the project forward a little bit faster. And then, of course, there's the regulatory agencies, in particular, the BABE for wildlife. So, which is a big workload for that. Additionally, we are looking at, I have a soil scientist working on the project, And we're looking at doing mechanized logging on slopes up to 50%, which is more in alignment with the Shasta Trinity standard and guides for their plan. And so that will be a little, what do I want to say? One more layer of clearance that we'll be doing both the specialist report and through the portal to request that for the 6 rivers, that project specific plan amendment. So we're trying out some new things on this project. I don't think it's going to slow us down. It's just a little bit of a learning curve there for us. So that's that project. Rat tail, which is in the landscape, it should be advertised here in a couple of weeks. The appraisal is done, the timber sale contract is pretty much put together, and so we will be advertising a timber sale here on the district in I don't know, 3 weeks. So it'll be a fiscal year 25 accomplishment for that. Other than that, oh, I don't know if Ben talked about any funding. Did he mention the Joint Chiefs funding award? Have you guys talked about that yet? Oh, okay. Yeah, so we found out last week that we, the 6 Rivers and Shasta Trinity received our funding. It was not quite the full amount that we requested. I think it was about, oh, Ben, what was it? About 600 less, I think, than what we had asked for. But it's still 2.1 million or something like that. So we received that award. And I'm a little nervous because the grants and agreements cutoff is August 1st. And so there's a big workload to be able to get that money obligated. And so I'm not really sure how I'm going to go about that. We don't even have the job codes for that yet. So I'm going to try to figure out, I'd like to know what Tara's planning on doing. I need to talk to her with her portion of it. So there's that. And then I did receive IIJA funding. That award was a couple of weeks ago or so. We're putting that into an agreement with the Watershed Center. That was $500,000 that I received to pursue commercial timber opportunities in the August EA footprint in the low and moderate severity burn areas. So that should be, especially with the new NEPA regs, should be a very light lift for NEPA. It will be specialist review, site specific. We're looking at what was been known as the Robbers Roost timber sale area, which is in the Kenton Palm, Xenia, in that neck of the woods. And so I'm anticipating being able to move something out very early fiscal year 26 for that and other areas. Also in the August footprint pending, and I need to follow up with county DOT, is getting the hazard trees down in the school section of the 502 road there. Ron Hanover is leading that up for Trinity County, and my sale administrator has been doing some of the prep for that. He's been pulled in a lot of directions. Acre Woods is being logged right now, and so his attention's there. So this project has languished a little bit, a little slower than I had anticipated or wanted it. So I'm going to follow up on that and try to get those hazard trees down that section of road. So anyway, I think I'll stop there. I mentioned several projects and several $1 million worth of funding. So the crew keeps moving forward. So I'll.
Very good. Before I, thank you very much, Kristen. Before I get to Larry, I just wanted to give Heidi an opportunity to introduce herself. She joined us a little bit ago. Heidi, you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was late. I was in an air quality meeting. I'm here now, and I'm happy to hear everything that's going on in the region. So
Very
thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Heidi. Okay.
We got
we've got,
up now.
We got questions, Kristen, from Larry and Jerry. We're going to start with Larry since he
Alrighty.
first. Go ahead, Larry.
Kristen, before you got on the line, I told folks that we had had a conversation about the South Fork project.
Yeah.
You expanded on what I said. But I also proposed that for the next field trip of the collaborative that we should consider the South Fork project. But I said that you had to clear that.
Yeah, when are we, when would be the next one?
Be August.
August 15th.
Okay.
Just coming right up.
Could probably accommodate that. We have had a request from the Elgin family, the Lassick band of the wind tune or Wailaki wind tune. They had some concerns. And so the forest supervisor, Kathy Allen, and Tara and Ben are also on that list to do a field trip for them on Tuesday. So I think that that trip, whatever we come up with for the agenda, because we're trying to focus on what their issues are, we could probably pull some items out of that for a collaborative field trip as well. I'm just sort of spitballing that some stuff will come out of that. That'll be helpful for an August 15th field trip. So.
Okay. Great. We lock that in. Sounds like that's what. Okay, is that it, Larry?
Yeah, that was it.
Great. Okay, Jerry.
Well, Kristen, congratulations on the Joint Chiefs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like 4 times in a row, yeah?
Got a good recipe going.
Yeah. So, and good luck committing the funds, but I was just wondering, is it just the 2 forests? Shasta Trinity and Six Rivers?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
There were some other awards, but not, yeah, this is just for us.
And was were the monies allocated to each forest, or is it a total pot you guys get to play with?
Oh, well, yeah, Tara and I are arm wrestling over it right now, but not
Get back to us on that.
yeah, not too hard. Actually, I should add, NRCS was the other co-applicant with us on
good.
that, and it looked like they are, and this is usually a pretty small pot, and Chris Cole said that they already had received their part of it. So it looks like pretty much Tara and I are going to split it with a little bit more going to Shasta Trinity just because of their projects.
Their presence, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Chris, do you happen to know how much the NRCS allocation was?
Yeah, it was like 150,000. It wasn't very much.
You look consistent with past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Was there anything else? Because I thought I saw another hand up there for a sec.
I don't see any right now, Kristen. So any other questions, follow up for Kristen?
If there aren't, I have one other thing that I sort of talked with Tara about when I saw her last, and this might be a question for Kristen or it might be a question for Ben. One of the things that we've been interested in, as a partner anyways, we've been fairly reliant on a lot of the, what was previously dubbed as wildfire crisis strategy funding, with that 16 million that was allocated in 23 and then 33 million in 24. Is that being revisited? What's happening with that process? I mean, we've had visits from the RIT team that came out, and so I didn't know. I guess what I was hoping to hear was whether or not is that all dead in the water? Is that something that's actually moving forward under different guise? Because I know that Tara had mentioned also that we're not talking about priority landscapes anymore. We're talking about fire sheds, et cetera, et cetera. So is there anything that the Forest Service folks can talk to about that piece with regard to funding, for the Trinity Priority Landscape.
Yeah, I think that the focus on the landscape has changed to some of these other initiatives. So I feel pretty safe in saying the short answer is no, we're not going to see any more dedicated funding just for the landscape. Everything that we're doing now is being driven by the new executive orders and the increase in timber. So, for example, the IIJA award that I mentioned that I got, the 500,000. Sorry, my dog is being a pain. For the August, I had a couple other applications in for that were fuel centric, and those were not even considered. The one that I received where I was focusing on timber opportunities was the one that got the award. So that's going to be the focus, and I do not believe we'll be seeing any large reply dues or funding award potential for the landscape. I don't know if Ben wants to add anything to that.
Bob's got a question. Let's go to Bob first, and then we'll circle back to Ben.
Quick question for Kristen. You mentioned timber sale, acre wood. I assume that's a salvage. Is that from August?
It's not a salvage.
Oh.
It was the original green sale, Acre Woods, that we repackaged into Green Acre Woods. About half of it that didn't burn. So half of that, if you recall, we actually had that timber sale under advertisement during the August complex. It hadn't been sold, and between the fire and CAL FIRE dozer lines through the timber sale, it took away about half that timber sale. So we repackaged it and advertised it as a green sale.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Ben, anything else you wanted to comment on regarding Kelly's question?
No, but I just want to say, concur with what Ranger Lark said. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Thank you
thank you, Kristen. It doesn't look like we have any further questions for you. So thank you again for joining us and giving us a good update on the Six Rivers side. Okay. We are moving on to partner updates. I don't know that there was anything significant or anything we wanted to
Not from the rec committee.
share from the rec committee. Anybody else, Carol, any other? I think
Carol,
you're
yeah.
the only other one probably from the rec committee. Was there anything of substance there that you thought would be valuable for the group at large?
No, I was just wondering, so one of the questions that came up was the issues at the Trinity Center boat ramp about getting ticketed for parking on county right of way and all that stuff. I'm just wondering if Ben got any response from Tara on that yet.
Ben, hear that?
I wasn't even
question?
aware about that.
Okay.
Someone's getting tickets from law enforcement?
No, the concessionaire that runs the parking concession at the boat ramp. If you don't park at the boat ramp, if you park down along the road, they are issuing tickets as a launch fee. Which there is no launch fee, it's just a parking fee. Anyway, I just had somebody call me about it again yesterday. I'm getting bombarded by people complaining about how the boat ramp's being operated, and I brought it up at the recreation committee meeting, and I was just wondering if Tara had been able to look into any of the issues that I had raised last week. So I guess not. So thanks.
No, I know about it now, so I can spearhead some of that too.
I mean, there's stuff like, the fee area sign has gone away. There's a large vessel fee, which everybody's trying to figure out what's a large vessel. Anyway, she had a list of, I think, items at the recreation committee meeting that we were hoping for some response. if you can pass along to her, if she can just email me whatever she finds out, then I can deal with all these people whining. So
Okay.
thanks.
All right.
welcome.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, nothing else on the rec committee. Let's go to RCD.
I'm gonna defer to start out with to Shay Callahan, our program director for Forest Health.
Morning, everyone. My list is pretty short because we just, for our implementation for our fuels crew, we moved to work on our CWDG grant agreement with Humboldt County, and our fuels crews are working on roadside chipping and defensible space in the Sawyer neighborhood and also on Odin Odin Road in that neighborhood. And then our forestry crews are helping plan and do stand exams in the Big Ranch project area, also downriver. Yeah, I think that's all I have to report for now. If anyone has any questions.
Could you talk a little bit about the potential for what we were talking about yesterday? We might be going after a wildfire prevention grant.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we were in talks with the Watershed Center as well, but we were going to perhaps put in an ask for a wildfire prevention grant that is due August 6th. And we are in talks with CAL FIRE right now to figure out what possible projects might be viable for that grant. And they put a cap on this wildfire prevention, so there's less money than normal wildfire prevention grants. So we're trying to figure out what might be feasible and what might not be. Some possible projects we were considering was a county-wide WUI VTP, which is why we're also talking at the Watershed Center, so we don't have overlap with their current VTPs that they just completed in High Fork and High Palm, and possibly some funding for community chipping, since RAC may not be a future funding tool. Yeah.
Okay, and then we also have funding through our current Forest Health CAL FIRE grant that's to be put towards implementation in Bowerman Ridge. Could you speak to that also a little bit?
Yeah. So we just got out of a planning meeting for that. So we have work slated for the Trinity Camps project area, Bowerman, also Ridgeville, and yeah, so some of those areas. So that'll be a mixture of mastication, manual thinning, and chipping, and hopefully burning piles and also broadcast burning in conjunction with the Watershed Center in those areas. And we are figuring out what those contracts and who will be implementing what acres and where SPI stewardship agreements will also fit into that, the Bowerman work as well.
Are we sub-awarding to Watershed?
Yeah, to help with plan the pile burning and broadcast burning under this grant, and maybe a little bit of mastication in the Bowerman parcels as well.
And just for the collaborative's information, that Forest Health grant we received is largely going as match against the Watershed Research and Training Center's National Fish and Wildlife Foundation Upper Trinity award that they received, which is about $6 million. So, Carol, you have your hand up.
Yeah, two things. One, I had asked earlier about implementation of the Bowerman Cooperative Fuel Break project. And so obviously I need to get with you, Shay, because I haven't gotten an answer from the Forest Service. So it sounds like they're handing off a lot of the implementation to you guys. So yeah, I would like to get together and figure that out. And the second thing is the Trinity Center CSD, our board has an agenda item tonight, whether or not they want to submit a wildfire prevention grant. I've talked to Dave Jaramillo about the CSD picking up some projects. So that would be something we would also need to talk about, whether or not we can coordinate on that, whether or not it's separate grants or just our stuff we want to get done with you guys. So I will be talking to you. Thank you.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Carol. Sorry I missed your question earlier about Bowerman too. But yeah, we can definitely let's meet and talk about all the things.
Cool.
Great. Thank you very much, Shay. Bob, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. Originally, it was called the McConnell Grant, and I know it has a different name now. Status of implementation is what I'm curious about. ETA?
So we don't have a solid ETA on that. We are still waiting for environmental compliance approval from FEMA. We have heard that there's been some movement at the from our Cal OES office, that there's been some movement and that the project will hopefully be greenlit sometime this year, but that is the only so we're trying to figure out, even if they approved it tomorrow, it'd be the implementation timeline on that. So we're still unsure, but we will hopefully hear back from them soon on whether when they expect that to be approved.
Due to the lengthy period of time that it's taken for this project to get through environmental compliance at the FEMA level, we've had a great deal of phone calls from a lot of the private landowners. It's obviously the largest bit of this is going on to SPI land, but there have we also had an outreach to almost 400 private landowners in the Weaverville, Covington Mill area, and so we've been hearing quite a bit about the frustrations that we've had as far as getting actual work done and accomplished through this project. But we did get some level of confirmation from Alex Carter at the McConnell Foundation that as far as Cal OES, I mean, we're like at the top of their list right now, which is surprising because McConnell has two pre-existing projects before this that are not for as far along as we're ready to go. And I think they're aware of that. So we're supposed to be meeting with Alex Carter next week, is it, Shay?
Yes, we're going to meet with them next week
to talk a little bit about like what that's looking like on their side and what we might be able to actually move forward on with that project. So we are cautiously optimistic that it's moving forward.
That's one of the reasons the CSD board is considering applying for a wildfire prevention grant, because we think the costs have gone up since, you originally signed up all those landowners, and B, for our landowners in our area, can we use the wildfire prevention grant to implement stuff where there's already been the CEQA done on private lands? And so, that's the kind of thing we're trying to figure out how to move that forward so people stop ambushing me at the post office.
That's really helpful, because the interesting thing about this particular funding was like, if you were not on board and signed up as we're moving, like a lot of our projects, just so that people understand, like a lot of our projects are kind of like, we're going to target this particular area. Once we start working in that area, we oftentimes get a lot more public buy-in to get work done, but we needed to have all of that work sort of approved by the public, by the private landowners at the time that we were actually doing the planning. So that may be particularly helpful to basically kind of serve as a supplement, because as we get into that work, undoubtedly people will be coming out, at that point and saying like, oh, this is what you were talking about. We want in on this. And we wouldn't be able to do that with the McConnell Foundation project as it's designed and as it's implemented. So that may be particularly useful.
So I see Christine's hand up. I had two more parts if I could finish that up. Is there going to be wet weather operations approved as part of the McConnell project, or did they take off for the wet months?
I think in our environmental documents, they're not supposed to be working in a lot of the riparian areas, and the slopes are also supposed to be limited to like 30% grade. And I think just for safety in our admin, we will likely, in areas that are too steep or too dangerous to work in, we will not allow contractors to work in those areas. But I can double check the environmental on that as well. But we will likely, because it's difficult because we also have LOPs, and so months without LOPs, and then the wet weather season, I think there's only like a couple of months where work can be completed on the entire project area. So we were trying to figure out, yeah, where contractors can start working first if they were able to start hopefully this year.
So to be clear, are you saying if it's outside of a riparian area and less than 30% slope, yes to wet weather operations? Is that what you're saying?
I guess the possibility, like possible, but like I guess I need more on like what wet weather is. It like is it sprinkle? Is there like a deluge? Like I don't think they're gonna want to use their equipment.
No, there's a
get-
definition. I don't know it. There's a definition.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
I think the thing that's more concerning for that particular area, I mean, some of it obviously is closer to town, but a lot of that area is up at higher elevations. So we'll likely, wet weather will likely include a fair bit of snow.
Yeah.
and the last part of what I wanted to ask you, instead of fielding 400 phone calls, perhaps an update once a month to all of you have a list, I assume. Maybe that would keep you from having to answer the phone quite so often.
Some people look at their email and some people don't. We do send out updates, or their emails. Sorry, some people do look at their email, but I think people feels more tangible when they talk to someone on the phone, which is fair.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Christine Jordan, you have your hand up.
So I do. Sorry, I was trying to close all the files I had opened so I could unmute myself. I just want to clarify, and I think the answer is yes. This is the Trinity County Hazardous Fuels Reduction Project. Is that correct? HMGP 45587200037R.
Yes, colloquially known as the culvert. Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Sorry.
I worked extensively with Adam Klatsker last summer, and we signed our ESA compliance with him for FEMA's piece in September, and it covered areas in Covington Mill, Trinity Center, Weaverville, PAA, and North Lake. And most critically, I'm hoping that all of this got transferred, down to implementation as we worked quite extensively to reduce areas where actual limited operating periods would be needed. So I just wanted to clarify that was the project. Sounds like it is, and provide that little bit of context.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Kelly, anything else?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're on a roll.
Thank you, Shay.
Well, before let me just take a minute. We do have a new participant here. Chris, you want to just give an introduction before we continue with the RCD report?
Yeah, sure. I'm Chris Cole. I'm the district conservationist for the Natural Resource Conservation Service here in Trinity County. And yeah, sorry I'm late. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Very good.
Real quick question for you, Chris. Earlier we were talking about the brand new Joint Chiefs Award, and we were wondering, could you confirm what the NRCS award on that was, or allocation on that was?
Yeah, so some of it gets a little kind of confusing, and so the Joint Chiefs, and some of this is kind of above my pay grade, but I'll explain it as best as I understand it. But they give out yearly allocations, so the funding is set up so that you get a certain amount of money per year. And so NRCS had basically not overextended, but we'd already used up all of our fiscal year 25 funding, save for like a little bit of money. And so we pulled other funding from a different Joint Chiefs project, because I guess we have that ability, at least within the state, we can pull funds from another Joint Chiefs project. So with this new allocation, it's not any new money. It's money that was already awarded, and the Forest Service is just now getting their funds. NRCS has already received our funds. We received our funding months ago. So this doesn't affect NRCS really in the slightest. This is just the Forest Service, their funding was frozen, while ours, we either got our funding allocated before it froze, like before, all the government changes and things have happened. So it doesn't really affect NRCS at all. And this is just like the Forest Service, my best understanding is they weren't sure if they were actually going to get their allocation for 25. but they've now received it. So all those funds are theirs, and how they disperse them is kind of, up to them. But
What was that allocation, Chris, the FY25 for NRC?
I think I'd have to look it up. I'll put it in the chat. I have the numbers, but I don't have them handy. But it was less than we were gonna get, but it was a lot of other Joint Chiefs throughout the nation actually didn't get any of their fiscal year 25 allocation. So our county took the lion's share of what was available for Joint Chiefs this year. So,
cool.
So we actually did much better than lots of other places, but it was still less, but it was better. So.
And then we do have Xander. So Xander, I know you're up next after Kelly finishes, but maybe just briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll get you on here to give us an update.
Sure thing. I'm Xander Winter. I'm a forester at the Watershed Center.
Great. Thank you, Xander. And again, we'll be right with you as soon as Kelly's report's finished.
Okay. Yeah, just a lot going on. Thank you for joining, Xander. I wanted to, I guess, hand off real quick to Dylan. We talked a little bit about Weaverville fuel break already, but is there anything else, Dylan, that you want to highlight that you're working on?
Yes, some of that would definitely be stepping on Skylar's toes. But just in brief, I can say that I'm doing several reviews. I've finished a review for work from Able Forestry. I just tend to know the numbers of these projects. That'd be 531. I know we all have different names for this, but it's a Humboldt County RCD lead agency project that Able Forestry is taking. So finish that up the beginning of this week. Then we have the Hennessy Ridge project 527. I'll be reviewing the NOE that was actually written by Chris Cole in 22. Just to answer some questions for Skylar. We got the Bowerman NEPA from Randy yesterday, and I'm going to assist Shay with some SQL work for the subaward there. And then I'm preparing a budget for Skylar for the environmental compliance portion of the countywide WUI that she will certainly bring up. Like I said, I didn't want to step on her toes. And then there's also a budget for the Weaverville wetlands restoration that I will have to her by the 15th for the meeting on the 18th. And then I have some botany stuff for Allie, several different things, but mostly just something that doesn't have a project number yet. She is hoping to have the grant sent in, approved. It's just or signed. I guess the grant will be signed, and then 90 days later we have to have all environmental compliance completed. So a bit of a rush job on that, but I think that's it for me.
Great, thanks, Dylan. Yeah, I'll go ahead and toss to Skylar if there's anything Skylar wants to bring forward to the group.
Yeah, thank you. Just to clarify some of Dylan's points, and sorry I'm keeping you so busy, Dylan. We've got a lot going on right now. It's been pretty exciting. So to the first project, we've made some great progress in the last few weeks on our 2022 Six Rivers National Forest Lightning Complex post-fire recovery project that the Trinity County RCD is working on in collaboration with the Humboldt County RCD. So primarily looking at properties in Sawyer that were impacted by that fire. So we have some preliminary treatments and environmental compliance pathways identified by our contractor that we're using on that project for some of the forestry and environmental compliance support, Able Forestry. So Dylan's been really helpful in making sure that we are all in agreement with what they've given us so far as next steps on that project, but we're hoping to start the fuel reduction, noxious weed removal, and potentially some reforestation either later this year or early next year. And then Dylan also touched on the Hennessy Road in the project that Shay had alluded to earlier, the Greater Willow Creek Community Wildfire Defense Grant. One of the project areas is on Hennessy, so we're looking at the best way to treat those properties. And in terms of other work that would be of interest to this group, full steam ahead on the 2025 Trinity County Community Wildfire Protection Plan update, which has been a great collaborative effort between our local, state, federal, and tribal partners. We had a partner meeting last Monday. Geez, time has been going by very quickly this month. We had over 20 attendees, a lot of really great input, and a call for action from our partners if they had any additional feedback on the priority projects that have been identified through agency input. And we had a series of about 13 different community engagements last summer to get community priority projects identified for this new CWPP update, as well as input on the ranking process for those projects and the overall action plan for that document. And the cool thing as well as part of that effort is the RCD keeps track of partner projects on the landscape, but really we get like trickle in of projects here and there over the 5 years, but a really big push for getting that information is in like the 5-year CWPP update cycle. So we've been getting in some new project shapes, and we have had a public viewer for these projects. So either partners or members of the public can see all of like the fantastic work that's being implemented on the landscape. But we've been revamping it a little bit to make it a little bit more accessible for folks, easier to view. So we're hoping within the next few weeks, we can really start publicizing that and using it as like an outreach tool and also a planning tool. And have to highlight where it's due. I think Weaverville Fire Department has been our most consistent reporter of these projects implemented on the landscape. So really appreciate their efforts and everyone that's been submitting information to us. And so I think that's all I'll share for now. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Skylar. I think that is really great context, because all of those things that we're doing with the Fire Safe Council now are helping to drive a lot of the work that's actually happening in this county. So greatly appreciate that, Skylar. I just wanted to give a moment to Eric Bruce. Shay had mentioned that our forestry crews are assisting with some of the layout in Big Ranch, but I didn't know if Eric wanted to talk a little bit more about that. Are you still on here, Eric? Eric Bruce, are you still on? I guess I'm not.
I believe he had to attend another meeting.
Okay, hopped off. Okay, well, that's fine. Thank you very much, Shay, for confirming. The only other thing that I wanted to bring up was just an update on our downriver CWDG grant. We were awarded $8 million. And as far as we know, it's actually moving forward very slowly, but it's still moving forward. We were asked for a revised budget, which we did provide to USDA for moving that particular project forward. It sounds like the $10 million award that was given to PUD hasn't had as much movement. So, but they're also still cautiously optimistic that they haven't been completely shut down or terminated. And we know that that program had gone into its third round of requests for proposals. So we think that it's still moving forward. But as of yet, no solid confirmation, or we haven't seen any agreements for signatures quite yet. And then I also wanted to highlight for this group, we talked a little bit about, it was mentioned through this report from the RCD, that we're working very collaboratively with the Greater Willow Creek Fire Safe Council and also the Humboldt County RCD, because the Greater Willow Creek Fire Safe Council actually is both on Humboldt and Trinity County side all the way up to about Del Loma. So we've been working very collaboratively with those two entities. with subawards from Humboldt County RCD through their first round CWDG grant. Our folks are actively working on that project right now, as Shay had mentioned. But we have a lot of coordination and collaboration that's going on between us, Greater Willow Creek Fire Safe Council, the Humboldt County RCD, and the Watershed Center. So a lot of really good work going in to those communities, sort of in that hinterland between the far coast and the deep Trinity, middle Trinity areas. So I think I'll put a point on our report at this point.
Very good. Any questions for Kelly? Not seeing any. All right, Xander, I believe you are up. Xander still with us?
Yep, I am. Also,
there we go. Okay.
Trying to manage multitasking. So I think front of mind on the planning side, Bowerman is signed, obviously, and so are folks who are working on the next NEPA planning process are spending a fair amount of time moving the Junction City Community Wildfire Risk Reduction Project forward. We have essentially a draft proposed action that we handed over to our counterparts at the Forest Service for their review. And so we're trying to keep going and keep making progress on that project. The High and Palm VTP was signed and approved by all the parties who needed to do it. And so implementation has begun in that footprint on some fuel break features on South Fork Mountain. So the watershed saw crews are doing that work on Trinity Timberlands property, but along one feature that was used in the 2020 August complex suppression. So they're kind of freshening up a fuel break there in the upper Hitchcock drainage, and another feature will be roadside along the Pelletier Ridge Road. We'll be starting the small private land fuels implementation in High and Palm this summer also. Let me think. Trying to work out some in-house implementation. I know Shay mentioned at the RCD that some of the fuels work at Bowerman, we're looking to start doing that. Our staff is also helping get the Bowerman timber sale up to its final stage so that it can be advertised. I showed up late and it might have been mentioned, but I believe sometime in August is when the Forest Service is looking to fly that one. Forestry crews are running all over the county, helping do layout and preparation for South Fork Mountain fuel break. A couple of smaller plantation projects, and a limited extent in the Big Ranch footprint. I know I'm missing a pile of things, but does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so Xander, the Bowerman timber sale, that would be along where we did the field trip along Highway 3. Would it also, I'm thinking, would it also include the area east of the East Fork of Stewart's Fork in Covington Mill? Or is it just out along Bowerman Ridge Road? I mean, where's the timber sale?
So the timber sale is fairly widespread, though on the scale of the entire project, Carol, that the far north end of the NEPA is at Preacher Meadow Campground, and the far south end is the bottom of the south end of Bowerman Ridge. The timber sale units are all within the north half of that project area, but it includes some of the NEPA units on the hillside south of the Norwegian Ranch, surrounding Preacher Meadow Campground, in the entirety of that Forest Service section that runs along the highway up to the top of Usher Hill. There's the long strip along the highway heading south of Usher Hill, and then a lot of units along Bowerman Ridge Road, in that first mile or so along Bowerman Ridge Road, and the flats there by Hobel Creek. There are some units down across from the Covington Mill neighborhood, also to the east of East Fork, Stewart's Fork. So it's sort of a kind of a smattering of units across that area.
Okay. And so your staff's working on that timber sale now with the Forest Service, and you think that it would be advertised in August potentially?
That's the latest update I heard from them, but I again, I wouldn't trust it unless you heard it straight from them.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Okay, anything else for Xander? Not seeing any, Xander. Thank you very much for your report.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, up next, Christine for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Yes, thank you. So appreciate all of the updates and information sharing today, and that happens at all of the collaborative meetings. I do want to say our field office is still here before some of the retirement options were put out there. We had 12 staff here in our field office, and our prior project leader, field office supervisor, Jenny Erickson, she did decide to take the deferred resignation. So Ryan Fogarty, who's been with our field office for many years in our habitat restoration branch, is our current acting project leader. And I did put his contact information into the meeting chat. And we also lost Trevor Super. He was our tribal liaison. So we are down to 10 staff here now. But myself and Derek and Devin, who have been working with the Forest Service on both the Big Ranch planning and North Trinity as well, are still here. And we don't have any plans currently to be elsewhere. So please continue to reach out to me for ESA consultation requests, or send any kind of higher level questions to Ryan. I will say that I'm not sure how many folks we did lose across our Region 8 Fish and Wildlife Service staff, but unfortunately, John Hunter, who was a long-term NSO marbled murrelet martin biologist in the Arcata field office, also retired. And Elizabeth Willie out of the Klamath Falls office. I know most of you have never met her or worked with her, but they were definitely excellent staff. But Arcata is still well staffed. And Kristen, I did kind of ping Nora Papillon in the Arcata field office, and we do have the August 15th date. We're going to hold that for a South Fork Mountain field trip, should that come to fruition. So one or both of us would definitely be there. I don't have any listing updates to share. I did work with Carla DiGiulio earlier this season on some of the survey questions and implementation questions for the Bowerman project. I'm glad to hear that NEPA decision was signed. As most of you know, SPI has been starting to implement the fuel break portion of that along Bowerman Ridge. And Carol, I'm glad to see you think that it's looking good so far. I hope to get out there and take a look at implementation soon, at least for that piece. And then we have been working closely with SPI on the proposed monument fuel break, which is part of the Junction City, and then Trinity Divide fuel break, which would be next, possibly next year for implementation. But our coordination with SPI has been around NSO surveys, not the actual project treatment development yet. We have had an uptick in FEMA consultation requests, some of them in Trinity County, but most are in Shasta County. And then again, we're continuing to work with the Forest Service on planning for Big Ranch and North Trinity. We did find out 2 days ago that we are under a travel ban, unfortunately, so we're not able to. Ben, this is really more for you if you're still on, and Carla knows this, we might not be able to make the planned field trip that we had for Monday and Tuesday next week on Big Ranch. But we're really hoping that that travel restriction ends soon and lifts, so that we can reschedule that time in case, we're not able to participate. We are still working. We hear rare updates from WAPA on the Trinity County Wildfire Risk Asset Protection, or RAP project. I met with them last week, and they expect to be sharing a draft biological assessment for that RAP project with us in early August. And that is the majority of our updates. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Christine. Any questions for Christine? Not seeing any. Thank you very much, Christine, for your report and update.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Thule, I believe you're back with us, so you're gonna give us a, yeah.
Right there. Thanks. Sorry, I'm juggling a couple meetings, but just wanted to give a quick update. Let's see a few things. We are currently running a small pot of wildfire and forest resilience funding opportunity. It's $10 million for our whole region. The focus of this funding is a bit different than our normal rounds, but it really is people and community protection. So, and it's for implementation only, no planning. So if you have ideas and needs, definitely reach out and we'll chat. We're also running a recreation funding opportunity right now that was shared at the rec committee meeting last week. So those are our current funding opportunities. A couple just big picture stuff. Our leadership is currently sitting in the U.S. Forest Service Regional Leadership Meeting. Just our work so closely aligns with their objectives and management objectives, and the ability to increase partnerships and funding avenues. So stand by for feedback on that. Third thing is we are most likely having one of our quarterly board meetings in Trinity County next year. So it's looking like June. Our board won't take action on that until December as to like exactly what date that is. Supervisor Rick Lutweiler is on our executive board. So I'll be working closely with him in developing the board tour. And then, so we do one day of field tours and then the next day is meetings. So I'll be working with him and I'll probably reach out to a few of you for ideas and suggestions. So looking forward to having our leadership, staff and board in Trinity County next year. So thanks.
Cool.
That's all. Happy to field any questions.
Any questions for Thule?
That's exciting, Thule. Thanks for sharing that out with us.
You bet.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hosting.
Great, thank you.
Doesn't look like we have any questions for you, Thule. Thank you again for your report today and update. All right, that concludes our partner updates, I believe, right?
I think so, unless Ren had anything from Trinity Ritter Lumber that he wanted to report out.
Ren, you got anything for us?
I don't have anything. Thank you, though.
Okay, very good. Okay, moving on to concluding business. Facilitation team. Do we have anything, Kelly?
Not currently.
Okay. Field tour planning. I think we hit that pretty good. What I have is sounds like we're kind of dialed in for South Fork Mountain Tour in August.
I'll still get with Laura a little bit about kind of how that movement's working and stuff, but I think that sounds like the timing will be best for that project. So
then maybe we're
can
looking
move
at
over.
Jennings for what, October?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
That would give them a little more time.
Yeah. So one, I need to check in with Jess about the timing, but I don't want this to sound bad, but I don't want waiting for the field trip to hold us up in putting it out. So
No, it shouldn't. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
I don't think it needs to.
Okay.
I just, I think that the main purpose of that was to have a look at the mark. But I think, I don't know. I mean, based on all the concurrence that we've had with regard to, what was discussed that particular day, I think we should be fine.
Okay.
Jerry, you got a question?
I do, and it's a whole different topic. So,
okay, let's wrap up the tour discussion. I think it has been suggested Bowerman might be another possibility. So just in the queue, maybe.
In the queue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Anything else on field tour planning? Okay. Before we go to agenda building, maybe Jerry has something for our next meeting. Jerry.
I just have a question. I read that the Senate just passed, $9+ billion cut for public radio. And part of that cut is also for emergency alert systems. So I'm thinking, does anybody know about, what we had was Code Red and now it's Ready Trinity as far as public alerts? Does anyone know about how they are funded or what the structure is for those?
So Ready Trinity is based on RAVE, which is the state OES system.
So it's state.
Yeah.
But the state may get their money from the feds.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Right.
the California OES uses RAVE throughout the state of California, and that's what Ready Trinity is based on.
Okay.
But yeah, it potentially could affect, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it may be also something for Fire Safe Council to focus on, but just wondering.
Maybe Xander has something for us. You got something for us on that one, Xander?
No, I had a quick go back for field trips though, which I can hold on to that if you'd like.
Skylar, did you have anything to add to that? Just knowing that you work very closely with Philip.
Yeah, I was just going to say what Carol said. To my understanding, one of the reasons why the county moved over to RAVE is because it's paid for by the state, but it is a good question of, well, like, where does the state get the funding and if that's impacted. So I appreciated Jerry's comment. Like, I can look into that and follow up with Philip.
Thanks.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, we'll go back to Xander. Xander, you want to throw something out on a field tour possibility or there's?
Yeah, thanks, Philip. I just wanted to get it on the radar that I think we will be requesting another field trip to the Junction City project area. I just wanted to, bring that up. I think we'd probably like to have Tara or her folks do more of the coordinating, but just so that we don't get scheduled out to December and don't get it, put in somewhere.
So we've got 2 more regularly scheduled, we got August and then we have October. If we need to add an additional one, then we should, we should talk about when that might be best for you guys, Xander. So how about you and I can talk a little bit more, and if we need to throw out an additional even month field tour or whatever, we'll work that out, okay?
That sounds great. Thanks, Kelly.
December typically has not been a good month for a tour, right? So
No.
we're looking at maybe multiple tours, either August or October.
And I know a lot of that project's up higher, so yeah. I mean, I'll talk. I'll get with Xander and we'll work that part out.
Very good.
Thanks again.
Okay, nearing the end here. So agenda building, I have not picked up any specific agenda item as we've been kind of tracking through today for next meeting. Did I miss something, or does anybody have any suggestions that you'd like to see on next meeting's agenda? Carol?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we hear back from the Forest Service on the questions I asked about the North Trinity County's Community Risk Reduction Project, but I hope we hear back before 2 months, but just in case, could we add that as a follow-up item to make sure, you know, because I don't know if Sarah, if we need to ask Sarah to attend a specific meeting versus, you know, having Shasta Trinity try to answer her questions. Anyway.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
I can follow up with Sarah on that too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carol.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Jim, this is Heidi.
Yeah, Heidi.
May I just say something briefly?
Sure.
I just want to take a minute publicly to just kind of give gratitude for all of the work that Dave Albee did in his lifetime. He passed away from cancer, and he definitely was a man who allowed all of us to work on his property, to do a significant amount of fuels reduction work and oak woodland restoration. And he definitely was a conservation landowner on his working landscapes in Southern Trinity. And I think it's worthy just to mention his name in this meeting today.
Sure. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah.
So here to Dave Albies for sure. But I'd like on a follow-up, if we don't, kind of what Carol said, if we don't hear from Forest Service before, the pilot program's repackaging.
Oh, right. Very good. Thank you, Jerry. Anything else for next meeting agenda? And again, we're not limited to today. If something pops up here over the next several weeks and you want to get something on, you can email either me or Kelly. So, okay. Not seeing anything else. I believe that concludes our agenda for the day. Anything else for the good of the order here that anyone wants to?
Shay had shared out that that we had a Weaverville Community Forest Steering Committee meeting that we moved up from its normal date in September to August 6th. We'll be discussing the 20th anniversary planning and the AOP for that particular meeting in advance of the public meetings that will be happening later in the year. So thanks for bringing that up, Shay.
Arnold.
I guess I should just mention that my impression is that having switched our meetings to Thursday, we've run into a lot more competition with other meetings and other responsibilities. So I don't know what to do about that. I think we should just keep an eye on it. But it seems like a lot of people had to do 2 meetings at once today. Some people didn't show up today.
And we had people coming in late. Arnold, you're absolutely right. So I don't know what Jill and Heidi may have been, talking about with regard to that. But it's something that I can certainly follow up with them about. And, this was sort of on a trial basis, I guess, to try to accommodate their scheduling. So, but it certainly Thursdays are actually, as we're starting to figure out, are pretty busy, days just in general. So, I will follow up with them and see, what the utility of that is, or whether or not we should bump back to the third Fridays.
It's a small sample, but so far it seems like the switch is a net negative effect on our work.
Yeah, agreed. I think people avoid Fridays, for good reason as far as setting meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Arnold, for that input. Anything else? Okay, well, that concludes our meeting. So we are officially adjourned. Thank you all again for your participation today and contributions. Much appreciated.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day. Good weekend.
Adios.
All right.